Hello, my name is David Hood, and this video is a compound effect review. This is one of my all-time success favorite books, and I'm going to talk about why and a little bit of exactly the little details that he gives away in the book. Obviously, you still want to read it, and you get a lot more out of it than you'd get out of getting a somewhat of a Cliff Notes version, but hopefully this will help understand if it's something for you, which I think for just about anybody, if they're in the right place, I think it's going to have a huge effect on them. I've listened to the audio CD of this probably about 3 or 4 times a year for the last 3 years, and each time I enjoy it and find something that I need to work on right then and there. So it starts off with an intro, and it talks about kind of his history. He's had a football coach father who was extremely disciplined. Every single morning, he was woken up to his father doing lifting weights loudly right next to his room. So that had an effect on him and how disciplined he was. And it sounds like right off the bat, even as a kid, he was pretty focused and goal driven, which is rare. And so that's pretty cool. But I think the whole point of the book was for him to go back to what he was doing and figure out why it worked for him, because he'd already been successful at this point. He's already publisher of Success Magazine when he made this book. And his main concept is the idea behind the compound effect. And the compound effect is commonly used in investing to show you can take 1 penny, and if you double it every day, at the end of 30 days, you've got something on the order of, I don't know, I think $6 or $8 million. It's a really high amount. And that's the idea behind what he says. You get a little bit better you every day, and as you improve, your improvements are compounded on one another, and as you get bigger, you get bigger and bigger, and then to a point to where you become extremely successful or powerful or whatever it is that you want. That's the main point behind the book, and it's true, and I agree with it. And he brings up a lot of really good points. He starts getting into the good stuff, or more practical stuff, in chapter 2. He talks about choices. One of his best ones, and I've seen it in different forms, but he's the first one that put it more generally, I think, is tracking. Basically, if you have something you want to work on, track it in great detail, and the effect of tracking it will often improve it automatically, even without trying. So a great example in the financial industry or the personal finance industry is track your expenses. Keep a notepad and track every cent you spend, and just the act of doing that will make you better. Sometimes what will happen is you don't want to pull it out and track it. What it does is it keeps you focused on what you want, and you can really see, wow, how much am I really spending? Another thing that I like to track sometimes is my time. If I get off topic and I feel like I'm not being too productive, and a lot of times I do it anyways, I just track my time. So when I'm at work, I'll track what project am I working on. And when I'm working on that project, I work on that project only. And what it means is that I want to keep my tracking good. I want to keep it clean. And so automatically, just by tracking it, I'm getting benefits. Um, and really the main point, I think, is that, look, your ability to be successful is completely dependent on you, and it's not necessarily going to be something that is going to be easy or overnight. But if you make the right choices, then the results for you should be good. It's not always 100%. You can't always be, nothing is guaranteed, but you give yourself the best odds. And closely related to choices are habits, and I think they're very similar concepts. And if you do both of them really well, that goes a long way. So positive or negative habits, there's just have a huge effect on your daily lives. I don't even think I need to. There's too much to go into a single video about all the good and bad habits that you can have. One thing that I really agree with, and even before I listened to him, I was thinking along this lines. He kind of helped me focus it, which is that the news is so much BS. There's 99.9999% of the news does not affect you at all, and it's just a waste of your time to pay attention to. And especially since news has become more of an entertainment industry than an actual information distribution industry. And so, really what you can do is you can boil your news down to only a few things that are relevant to you. And not only that, the news tends to focus on the negative, because that's what we want to see. I mean, we crane our necks at a wreck, and it's because our brains are wired to see the negative. And then you can add positive habits or positive things coming through your brain, and that's going to make a big difference. Again, media trash. So I like his chapter 4 about momentum, which he calls Big Mo. And one thing that is, I really agree with this, and this goes along with the compound effect, which is that consistency matters a lot. If you work really hard for a week and then you don't work really hard for a week, and then you work really hard for a week and then you don't work really hard for a week, you're a lot less than half as productive as if you just work all 4 weeks very hard. And the reason for that is if you're not going forward, you're going backwards, and that's totally true. And you know, this is a concept that is, I think it's hard to visualize because it's compounding your wins, and if you can take that and you can use that to keep going and make it bigger and bigger and bigger. And if you stop, you lose some of that power. And so I really like his point about Big Mo. He talks about his influences, mainly his father and Jim Rohn. I'm a big fan of Jim Rohn. Never met his father. I don't remember too much about this chapter, but I think it's still a good read. Acceleration. Oh, I really like one of my favorite points in the whole book is that it's not that we need more knowledge, because there's tons of knowledge out there. There's an infinite amount of knowledge available to you with the internet. But it's more about getting deeper in what is more important in your life. Again, not more knowledge, but focus. So, like I've proven it with this book, at least, that instead of getting another book and trying to read that new one, I try to reread the really good books. And that doesn't mean I add new ones. I don't ever add new ones, but this one is a great one that I'll probably listen to over and over and over again, and try to get deeper and better and a deeper understanding. And this is true for, you know, an engineer. You wouldn't want someone who just read a single engineering book to build your house or to build a building that's going to house 1,000 people. You want someone who's really been in there and seen a lot of the details and really knows what they're doing. Deeper. You don't care if they're a musician. You don't care if they can play basketball. All you care about is if they can build a safe building. So my conclusion is I pretty much agree fundamentally with all his major points, except for my ability to spell. And he brings up another good point. I love this, which is the compound effect is working for or against you. You can't avoid it. If it's not working for you, it's working against you. And even if you don't know anything about this, the compound effects is still applied in your life. It's a simple economic principle of the universe that you can't avoid. And it's not easy, but it is simple, and it requires heavy discipline. I think that's a large focus of why he thinks he's successful, which is he is extremely disciplined with what needs to get done and being ruthless with his time and energy to what gives him the most bang for his buck in his life. And I think that pays off for him big time. Let's see. This reminds me a little bit of what's that book by Earl Nightingale? Lead the Field. He says something very similar to this, which is that really most people aren't trying. So you don't need to do a whole lot. Not only that, but it's not about those one day where you spent, or 2 or 3 days where you just worked and built something really awesome. It's more about the day-to-day, consistent, focused effort over a long period of time that's going to make a big difference. I pulled this random quote from out of there. You know, you need discipline in order to be able to accomplish just about any goal. And that's a huge part of what enables the compound effect to work for you. So highly recommend it. One of my favorite books. Get the audio version if you want. I listen to it in my car a lot. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.